everybody? It is Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, and we are back with another episode of the Wrestling Republic Daily Broadcast. And today we're going to be talking all things Monday Night Raw from last night's quite entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. But today, first of all, I'm joined by, to my left, oh, wait a second, this is confusing.
Is this a new camera angle?
Yeah, new camera angle. We're improvising. We're improvising, and yeah, we're just on the go. But on the left, on my screen, so that way, if I'm correct, yeah, that way, we have Soul. How are you today, Soul?
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, it is already the end of the first month of the year. I am sleep deprived, ready for the daily broadcast. We are here. I mean, hell, what of a first month for professional wrestling, as well as I'm sugar free. I'm trying to watch the weight.
Fair enough.
I mean, look at the first month has done for us. You know, us Wrestling Republic, we've been pumping out these daily broadcasts and everything. But hey, in the world of professional wrestling, Royal Rumble's ending it, and we're ending it with the first Raw after the Royal Rumble. So hey, the road to WrestleMania starts here, gentlemen. Let's get on this journey.
And it certainly was a fun start to the road to WrestleMania. But I'm also joined today to my, let's hope I get this right on screen. Yes, I did. Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I can't lie to you. I'm a little twisted up with my rights and lefts as well. I woke up first thing this morning and I was looking at the date. I had to do the song in my head. I was like 30 days, half September, April, June, and November. I'm like, oh shoot, there are 31 in January. And so, yeah, I just stoked to be one more day, but what a month in pro wrestling, and so glad to be back on the daily broadcast. Yesterday's show was a blast. I had the day off. It was a rainy day in SoCal again. What's up with all this rain in SoCal in January? I don't know. I don't know Mother Nature personally, but I'm not exactly happy with her of late. But other than that, I'm doing great and stoked to be back as usual.
Yeah, and we do have a big show planned today, guys. But let's start it off with the men's Elimination Chamber match. Now, for regular viewers of the show, you guys will know that I have been pushing this entire time for the Elimination Chamber match to be something to do with, crowning a possible challenger for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, with Cody going after another belt or something like that, and having Sami Zayn in Canada win the Elimination Chamber and go on to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. However, it's now clear that that is not the plan, because the men's Elimination Chamber match at Elimination Chamber will be for the United States Championship. Austin Theory will be defending his United States Championship against 5 other competitors inside of the structure. And last night on Raw, we had a couple of qualifying matches to find out who would be in that match. And Seth Rollins defeated Chad Gable in a very nice opening contest to Raw. Johnny Gargano shockingly defeated Baron Corbin. I didn't see that one come in, but I'm more than happy to see Johnny Gargano finally getting a bit of a cheeky push into the, Raw's main event scene. And Bronson Reed looked like an absolute beast when he defeated Dolph Ziggler to qualify. And the final 2 for the match will be chosen in qualifying matches next week. And this is where it gets a little interesting, because Angelo Dawkins will be facing Damian Priest, and Montez Ford will be facing Elias. And I have a little feeling that they're going to be sending Montez Ford into the main event scene now, like I know quite a few of us have wanted for a while here. But my question to you guys is, heading into next week, who do you guys think will qualify in those 2 matches? I'll start with you, Clark.
So I'm a huge Montez Ford fan, and so I'm going to go with Montez right out of the gates. And give me 1 second. What was the other match, by the way?
Angelo Dawkins and Damian Priest.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is obviously Priest. I'm excited about both matches in the sense that I think that Dawkins has looked as good as he ever has of late, and he can put on a good match with Priest. I'm disappointed if this is the way they're going to split up the Street Profits, because I know that Dawkins is going to take the brunt of the he's gonna be the collateral damage. Unfortunately, if that's the case, I could see them pushing Montez Ford to the moon. I'm not really sure how they haven't. He basically looks to me like a young Will Smith as far as charisma, and that reference isn't as great given the recent stuff with Chris Rock, but at the end of the day, he's off the charts good every single time, and athletically, I'm not sure I can count on one hand how many people in wrestling, any company, can hang with Montez Ford bell to bell. He's as good of an athlete as we have in the business. And there's something to be said about that. I love the pairing with Dawkins though. So that would be my only disappointment. I don't see them both winning their matches. So to me, Priest and Ford makes the most sense. But yeah, I did have to throw in my thoughts on the Profits because I just think Dawkins deserves deserves to spotlight himself, and as a tag team, I think they're world class.
Yeah, that is a tremendous point you've just made. And here's the thing about Angelo Dawkins, right? He is actually as well. He's really good, but it's just Montez Ford is really, really good, and that's the unfortunate thing with it because Montez Ford is a main event caliber star. I truly, truly do believe it, and I'm really excited to see him in Elimination Chamber. Undoubtedly, he's going to do something off the top or something like that. It's going to be a super fun match to see. But what about you, Sol? Who do you think we win in these two final qualifying matches?
Well, it's a very interesting situation, but I do want to just gush about something first. Is how much I love the look of the United States Championship, and I'm so glad that it's actually getting a big feel to the Elimination Chamber. That belt, the best looking belt in WWE at the moment. Do I want a replica? Yes. Will I get one? If my budget suffice. But going on to the matches, Montez Ford obviously going to win against Elias. It's a dangerous game though with this, splitting up the Trees Profits and looking at one. I mean, even just looking at how they were booked in the Rumble, Montez Ford had more of a prominent fixation on with the camera. His elimination was a bit more flashy in front of, I don't know if it was friends or family. It was something that they definitely seemed like they had a connection, and it was like, whoa, what's happened here? And then Dawkins was just yeeted out by Brock. I do feel bad for what's going on with Dawkins. I feel like he's going to get really pushed to the sidelines and not focus as much. It's going to be like an Oates and Tucker situation, I think. One's going to be highlighted and one's going to drift. It's sadly just the way the business works. One will be pushed, one will be not. But yeah, I definitely think Montez Ford will win against Elias, and Damian Priest will win again, for who I think should actually win the whole Elimination Chamber. And even though I've said his return was terrible, I think Gargano would be a good choice to have win the United States Championship.
Ooh.
And what I would love that to delve into is reigniting a feud from the classic era of NXT, Gargano versus Ciampa for the United States Championship down the line.
That would be fantastic. I'd love to see that. And Gargano winning, that would certainly give him the push that we've all been asking and Triple H to give him. I personally, it's a difficult one. It really is, because based on last night's episode of Raw, I actually think they might be doing Rollins versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. So all these rumors asking me Logan Paul versus John Cena. I think it actually might be Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins, and perhaps that means Theory versus Cena. But my actual prediction to win the Elimination Chamber match is actually Austin Theory. And the reason for that I'll get into in just a second. But before I get into that, my reasoning for that one, I want to ask you, Clark, who is your prediction to win, early prediction to win the Elimination Chamber match?
So I can't lie. I was a little disappointed when it was announced that it was the U.S. title in the Elimination Chamber. I have bad memories of Ryback headlining the Elimination Chamber for the IC title. And it felt like a bit of a letdown. I thought there was room to book something kind of maybe maybe a number one contender type scenario, maybe a reason to split the belts with Roman. Maybe, I don't know. I thought there was some storytelling that they could have pulled, that it wasn't necessarily just the U.S. title. I have no issue with, like, I mean, the belt itself, as Soul stated earlier, is beautiful, but I just, to me, it's not a it's still a mid card title. And if I'm gonna do an early prediction, I wish I had a hot take or something fun or something better, but it's, to me, it's Theory retains, makes the most sense. And I guess the only thing that is a positive is it is a well told, he gets his redemption from being F5'd off the pod by Brock.
That is a cracking point there, Clark. But the next thing I want to get into is my actual reasoning for why I think Theory is winning, because I think that they're obviously teasing Theory, Lashley, and other stuff like that. And I think if he was going to lose to anybody right now, it'd be Lashley. I know they're kind of hot potatoing it between the two anyway, but I do believe that that is who he'd lose it to. I think Rollins is going to be set for Logan Paul at Mania. Gargano, I don't think is built enough yet. Bronson Reed, I can't see. Again, I don't think he's built enough quite yet either. I actually see a tiny possibility of Montez Ford winning, if I'm being completely honest, but I don't think that'll happen yet either. But yeah, like I said, if they were going to take the title off him, then I think two men, or at least one of them, would have been in this Elimination Chamber. And when they said that, when they had those 3 qualifying matches on Raw last night, I thought straight away, okay, this means that the final 2 are going to be Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. But no, neither of them were in it, and this really did surprise me. But what were your thoughts on it, Soul? Did you originally expect Lesnar and Lashley to be added to it, and do you think that perhaps would have been a better idea, or do you think that it is just best to keep them out of it?
I think the best keep them out of it. That's going to sell. People are wanting to see it on their own. Bobby Lashley and Lesnar. People have always, even before we got the whole championship match back at the Rumble last year, and then the Elimination Chamber last year, that whole shtick, and then Crown Jewel last year as well. So many years ago, man. Time's flying by. But it sells itself. You don't need to put it into a match of other people that these 2 are going to be the final 2, the big units. Who else is going to tackle them? So, I mean, I'm fine with them not being in it. Lesnar and Lashley will sell itself. It's a match that doesn't need too much build. Yeah, it's just business.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true in the fact that it would be quite obvious they'd probably be the final 2 in it. But this leads me to my next question as to, if that's the case, then what's Bobby Lashley got to do for the next month, really? Because I don't think Lesnar Lashley is happening next few weeks, because I don't think Lesnar Lashley is happening at Elimination Chamber. I presume it's going all the way to Mania, unless they do unless part of me is even thinking they might do a triple threat with Theory in it at Mania, because they're obviously teasing Theory and Lashley still, which was weird to me. I thought they'd have moved on from that. But yeah, I mean, what are they going to do with Lashley for the next few weeks then? What do you think, Clark?
I'm as confused as anybody on the Lashley plan there, because unless Brock's going to be in the building on every Raw along the way, I don't know where you put him. And maybe a Hurt Business reunion to tell that story, but I don't know how that plays into a match with Brock Lesnar, to be honest. I don't know why he would need the Hurt Business for that, and who's the heel. And so I'm as baffled. Maybe, I guess, if we're going to continue with babyface Brock, the Hurt Business turns heel. And that's where maybe my Shelton Benjamin theory comes into play, man. I brought that up not a few days ago now, like a week ago, I think. Maybe that's the move, right? Is you reunite the Hurt Business plus Omos, and they turn on Shelton. And Brock is the one that picks up Shelton in that scenario, I think. Or I don't know. But that's about the only thing I can think of outside of, like you said, the U.S. title picture. And to keep him out of the chamber, while it's not that I'm confused as much as I'm just I'm a little unsure, but I do think Hurt Business, they got to have the Shelton play a role. I think it would be silly to leave that stone unturned. I think if you're gonna do Bobby 2 and reunite the Hurt Business, I don't know that they're necessarily gonna do that, but it's been teased. We've seen the backstage segment where they were showing the whole Judgment Day walking in on Raw a couple weeks ago, and in the background you could see MVP having a conversation with both Sheldon and Cedric. That I think is the only logical. That's the only thing I think there is for him to do, I guess, would be my answer to your question, right? Is reunite the Hurt Business in some form or another.
Yeah, that probably is at this point the only option that they can do. And of course, they're doing something with him and MVP, but it's like, why is Austin Theory also involved if he's main eventing? Well, not, it won't be the main event, but he's going to be at Elimination Chamber defending the United States title in Elimination Chamber. It's a bit of a weird one. But talking about Elimination Chamber matches, let's move on to the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And Bianca Belair's WrestleMania opponent will be chosen in the Elimination Chamber this year, with Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, Nikki Cross, and Liv Morgan having qualified. And this is because they were the last 4 in the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, I guess that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, why haven't they done this in past Elimination Chamber matches? I think it's pretty clear that they just don't have enough time to do the qualifying matches. So they decided to just to do this. But let's be real, I don't have an issue of any of those women being in the match at all. But next week, there will be a fatal 4-way to decide one of the 2 final places. And this fatal 4-way will be between Candice LeRae, Michin, Mia Yim, Carmella, and Piper Niven. And I'll start with you, Clark. Who do you think is going to win this qualifying match and earn themselves a spot in the Elimination Chamber?
As much as I want to say Michin, because I really think Mia Yim's actually looked amazing in ring since she's been back most of the time, I think Piper Niven's the call. I really think Piper's the call. I think she fits the chamber dangerously. She may come in second to last. I think as like the heel, scary. Everyone's worn out. Oh no, it's Piper Niven now. That makes a lot of sense there. So I'm gonna call Piper, but I don't know exactly how I booked that one. And back to one of the things you said originally, I love the concept of the Final 4 in the Rumble, but like you said, why haven't we done this before? And why now? But I'm cool with it, and I think this Fatal 4-Way is a cool match too. But Piper Niven will be my call.
Yeah, I think that is certainly a solid call, and Piper Niven actually looked great in the Royal Rumble, and I'm so glad she's no longer called Doudrop. That is a huge relief. But what about you, Sol? Who do you see winning this Fatal 4-Way?
Well, I don't call it this is just national bias, but I'm going Piper Niven too. I really want her to win this qualifying match, and honestly, to win the whole Elimination Chamber, I kind of want it to be Piper Niven or Nikki Cross. I kind of want that real badly. I don't know why. It was just the Scottish pride within me. But
I know why. It's because they're both Scottish.
Oh, come on now. You can like that would be so hype. Nikki Cross and Piper Niven being like the last 2. That's like watching like Celtic versus Rangers. It's like they're both the hometown talent, but they're both complete opposites, and they're like, shit, this could go either way. But I want that. But right, realistically looking at it, someone who's undergone a change in a big way, top star, Asuka, could win the Elimination Chamber.
I really like the Asuka call.
Yeah,
not to jump in like that, but I really love the Asuka call. That is that.
And she's
because I might have said the same exact thing. I mean, I still will. I agree.
Yeah, she's looking brutal at the moment. But I mean, I was going to say, I'm glad that Saul didn't actually pick Piper Niven, because the last time we all agreed on somebody, he didn't win it with Sami Zayn in the Royal Rumble. But now we've all picked Oscar. So, Oscar, you're cursed apparently. So I do apologize about that one. But who's my early prediction? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oscar as well. Honestly, she is looking brutal at the minute. They are building her back up from the Royal Rumble fantastically, and that segment backstage last night, she looked like a complete monster in it. It was great, and I think her versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, that is money. I mean, perhaps it leads to the question about where Becky Lynch and Bayley will be at WrestleMania. That is something which is still confusing me slightly, but I'm sure that'll be more clear in upcoming weeks. And I mean, actually, Ronda Rousey too. There's a lot of matches this year where it's like they're probably going to be non-title. But yeah, now let's move on right to the rest of Monday Night Raw. And we were talking about just then the women's division, and Rhea Ripley last night revealed that she's going to challenge Charlotte Flair. And I, of course, said in the show the other day that this is the match that I wanted to happen. And the reason for that is because it was meant to happen at WrestleMania 36. And of course, well, it did happen, but it happened with no crowd. And of course, Rhea lost. And this is the perfect redemption arc, full story to come round. Rhea Ripley, I know your comments, Clark, yesterday that you weren't sure, she's not been bought like a main event star as of late. But I did kind of disagree on the fact that I think that she kind of has been. I think, yes, they've kept her away from the women's title picture, but I think that was deliberate, and she's looked like an absolute monster. And now, just that promo alone last night, she's getting rebuilt for that position to be the main event star. And her versus Charlotte at WrestleMania, I'm excited for it. Even though we've seen it before, it still feels fresh. And I'm super, super pumped for it now. But what are your thoughts, Clark, on Rhea Ripley choosing Charlotte Flair instead of Bianca Belair for WrestleMania?
To be honest, I wish I had like a cool retort. The promo last night did it for me. They connected the dots that I needed to be connected in my eyes. At the end of the day, WrestleMania 36, I thought they stole the show, arguably. I thought it was one of the best empty arena matches of that whole night by miles. And the rematch makes sense. Building Rhea as having her stare down Solo Sikoa, having her eye to eye with men numerous times throughout her recent booking. I do wonder, while I still am a little bit like, why wasn't she squashing women in singles matches more often? Not necessarily squashing, but you know what I mean? Like competing bell to bell more often in the singles picture. I have no problem with the build. And I'm really glad that she did pick Charlotte. I don't think it would have made a lot of sense for her to pick Bianca. While I'm a huge Belair fan, I don't think that was the match to make. I'm excited about her and Charlotte. I'm also excited about somebody that can physically dominate Charlotte in that setting, to see what Charlotte can do in that match, because often she is the outside of the 36 match with Rhea, often Charlotte's the larger woman in the ring and the more physically imposing. That will not be the case at this year's Mania. And that is the number one thing I'm most excited for.
Yeah, it is going to be weird to see, and it was weird to see WrestleMania 36, Charlotte not being the bigger competitor in the match, but it's obviously tactically, from a kayfabe point of view, it's going to be a difficult challenge for Charlotte Flair to overcome, and again, that's why I'm excited for it too. Yes, Bianca versus Rhea would have been a fun match. It certainly would have. But Charlotte versus Rhea, I think, could really turn Rhea Ripley into a star, and a real star at that. Even though I think she already is presenting herself as one, I think this could push her to the main event scene, undoubtedly. But what about you, Saul? What do you think about it all?
Simple, 3 words. This makes sense. Easy. WrestleMania, Rhea lost her NXT title. Money in the Bank, Rhea lost her Raw Championship to Charlotte. Double loss. Go for the third. Take the title that you Like it's like all the women championships in the company, Rhea's lost to Charlotte, so why not take the one that she's never held from her? Writes itself.
That's brilliant.
It writes itself.
Definitely.
It writes itself. That's what I said. This whole third part of the trilogy, this makes sense. But I can't believe nobody's noticed this before. How the hell did you not notice before?
I didn't notice.
I noticed it. I noticed
I
it
didn't.
For her to be the Triple Crown champion for sure. But I will say this, the way that they had carried her with Judgment Day would be the only reason that I was like, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have gone as far as it writes itself. Not that I'm saying that like you're wrong, because I do totally agree with you now with where they're at. But I think they threw us for a loop with how she was booked alongside Dominic for weeks. She was essentially the muscle lackey
I'm gonna be honest. I
Judgment Day.
still really disagree with you on that one, because she wasn't the muscle lackey. She was the one pulling the strings. She was, she was the puppet master behind it all.
Maybe.
I'll say this as well. Just the final wrap up about the whole Rhea and Charlotte thing. Charlotte's title run at the moment, I'm not really. I can't comment on it because I got no feelings towards it. It feels like from me looking at it and thinking business wise, it seems like Ronda's done and they just took it off Ronda because you want to go. Okay, cool. Big name, Charlotte, come back, big return, takes title, boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now we're going to have Rhea and Charlotte at WrestleMania. Is this going to main event night 1 and then Roman and, Cody, what Cody does here? We'll probably get into that. Night 2 could work. It could work. I feel like that's going to make a lot of people angry because they want Sami Zayn versus Romans. And I've said before, the Bloodline storyline, if it's to work to a perfect conclusion, Sami and Roman, but sometimes you don't get what you want. Sometimes the cards don't fall in place. You're dealt the hand you're dealt, and you got to play with it. Fair point. But I am not annoyed or disappointed with Rhea versus Charlotte because I do think it will be a good story to look back on of a woman who rose up for the developmental scene and failed, rose up in the main event scene of Raw and failed, and now going to SmackDown main event succeeds.
And to your point, by the way, remember like the comparisons when Rhea was initially signed, when Rhea was blonde haired, that it dates back even that far, right? Like all the way back. It was, she's the next Charlotte Flair. And then she even, I forget, was it on Breaking Ground or was it a different network show?
I think it was the Mae Young Classic, the first Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
That's when she initially got signed. But when Ripley had the quote where she was like, that's the reason I wanted to cut my hair short and dye it, was because I was tired of being compared to Charlotte. This is before WrestleMania 36. I forget exactly which program it was on, but she said it. It was I thought it was so cool. And so that story, like she was like, I was tired of being compared. And I mean, realistically, like they're both unbelievable athletes. Top class as far as the women's division when it comes to like strength. And ironically, we're talking about like, we'd rather see Rhea and Charlotte over Rhea, Bianca, and Belair is like, the definition of world-class athlete, but it has nothing to do with that. It's because of the story stuff. Yeah. Right. And that's what makes it so great. And I totally agree. I was skeptical, I think, at first because of the Judgment Day stuff. I was a little scorned by that. But like at the end of the day, Ripley Flair adds up. It just does. There's no denying that.
It's quite funny because like this time, I think it wasn't yesterday's show. It was the show the other day when we were talking about this. You really wanted to see, you prefer the idea of Bianca Ripley. And now you've just completely, just a couple of days later.
No, I flipped on it. It took me a couple of days, Ben. It did.
A couple of days later, not only are you now excited for it, you just sold me even more on the match with what you just said. I'm now even more hyped for it, but I'm super excited to see this live. We'll all be there. I know I'm saying this every day, but that is how excited I am for it.
I mean, hey, like I think this is gonna be fun, and as I stated before, The story writes itself. This makes sense. This is the tagline for this match.
Yeah, this makes sense. That's
Absolutely.
on the poster. This makes sense. But while we're talking about Rhea Ripley, I want to quickly get on to now. So far for Elimination Chamber, it looks like we have the United States Elimination Chamber match, the Raw Women's #1 Contenders Elimination Chamber match, probably Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. But also another match which I think we could get is Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley against Edge and Beth Phoenix. Of course, it's in Canada, so it would make sense for Edge to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really feel like this Elimination Chamber card could well be stacked. Like, it really, really could be one of the best looking pay-per-views card-wise in years, which is hilarious, as it's the pay-per-view before their biggest card of the year, WrestleMania. But I'm already hyped for Elimination Chamber. But do you think we'll see this match, Clark?
Okay, so this is the only other thing, and not to even harken back to the very last conversation we had, but that annoys me. Why is it not Dom and Ripley? That's supposed to be the couple. Should be couple versus couple. Should be Dom and Ripley versus Beth and Edge, right? They've been telling us this story for months. Why is it now Finn? Finn is not, he doesn't call Ripley mommy. That's Dominic. That does that. And so that's where I'm like, and don't get me wrong, I love it. I want to see Beth Phoenix wrestle. I loved her spot with Ripley at the Rumble. I want to see her tag with Edge. I think that's super, super, super cool. But they've been building towards Dom and Ripley versus, why is it now Finn Balor? Like, they're not dating. Isn't it supposed to be Dom?
That's a very good point. I mean, in fairness, it is just me kind of presuming it'll be Finn because of what happened last night with Edge screwing over Finn. So perhaps they will do Dominic. Based on the angle last night, it does seem like Finn.
I know.
But, I mean, maybe they just think... I don't think they want Dominic to lose. I think that's why.
It's the weirdest thing.
I mean,
so weird.
I'll say for this as well, the reason why I think Finn and Rhea make sense is because Edge made Judgment Day, and then it all collapsed when Finn brought in. Finn was like a virus in Edge's own faction and made it turn on its host. So I understand why Edge would go for Finn. Rhea goes after Beth because, you know, they've had some bits in the past and there was all the whole fighting thing. And in Canada, it makes sense as well. But something I want to deviate from this, and something that's being left out, is another title, the IC title. After Gunther's absolute chaotic time in the Rumble, to go from that. And I'm going to shout something here as well that I want to see at Mania. I want to see a rematch between Gunther and Sheamus. The only problem with that is I think it's too early to take the IC title of Gunther. I think Gunther should become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. But imagine getting Sheamus and Gunther again at Mania.
I'd love to give you credit for that, Soul, but everybody predicted that match on the show the other day. But
and also, I love SmackDown as much as the next guy, but we were just covering Raw, and I want to be clear on the. I heard what you said about the whole Finn being a virus thing. They actually turned on Edge the night Finn joined the Judgment Day as the leader. If you remember the segment, it wasn't like he was in the Judgment Day under Edge's lineage. He was clearly defined as the new leader when, remember, Priest turned on Edge and everything or whatever. Like, he wasn't like hanging out with them the whole time. Like, Finn Balor's the Judgment Day leader based on that one segment. If you know, I mean, he showed up and acted like he was going to join, and then everybody beat up Edge.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is a good point, linking that back, Clark. But let's move on now. Let's move on to Cody Rhodes.
The roller coaster.
Camera button. But yes, Last night, Cody Rhodes came out and confirmed that he's going to challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship of the World. Bit of a mouthful, but yeah, that's official now anyway. Night 2 of WrestleMania will probably be. And I'm going to be honest, this promo did get me a little bit more hyped for it. I still think it should be Sammy, but oh well. We've got to make do with this, and it'll still be a really fun match, of course. And fans, the crowd was still completely with Cody, which is great, because you definitely, for this storyline, want to see him having the fans on his side. And in a way, Sami Zayn has caused the crowd to really go against Roman again now. So perhaps a shout out to Sami Zayn helping him for that as well. And of course, last night on Raw, Cody Rhodes, had a match with Finn Balor, a Bullet Club, a match between two former Bullet Club members. Finn Balor had multiple Bullet Club references throughout the show, and the crowd didn't really know any of them. It was really quite strange, actually. The crowd basically didn't acknowledge a single one. I mean, again, this shows that WWE's audiences and the casual fan really does not know that much outside of wrestling. And I think I've linked it back to AEW so many times in the past, but I do believe that that's one of AEW's flaws, is that they presume fans know a bit too much about what happens outside when they don't always. But anyway, they did this match, right? And for those who understood it, they understood it. For those who didn't, it was a solid match, and it was a good match on Raw, and Cody looked good in it. He's still hitting his finisher, the Crossroads, like 3 times in a row, and I don't like that. I really, really don't. I didn't like it. I've never liked it when he's done it, but especially not on just a normal match on Monday Night Raw. I really, really don't like that. But what did you think about the match, Clark?
I was fine with it, but I'm so with you on the Crossroads thing. Like, it's such a cool looking finisher too, by comparison to so many others. Like, what are we doing here? Why does he have to hit it so many times? Like, it doesn't add up to me there. Outside of that, I had almost no complaints. And I think it's funny. We talked about like the crowd reaction to Cody and whatnot. I loved in the press conference he mentioned after the Rumble, like, yeah, I hope you guys don't get upset with the amount of Peck gear that's going to come out, like Peck related merchandise. Yeah. Like that I thought was really cool and self-aware of him to say, and like I'm not as I would love to tease like Kobe and some of our other friends about maybe the WWE crowd's going to turn on Cody like they did in AEW, but realistically I don't think that's something that in the near future is something to be worried about at all. And I imagine all the Peck gear is going to be funny. And I love that he referenced AEW in that quote too. So yeah, the at the end of the day, I had no issue with it other than, can we just get one Crossroads ball game? Yeah, then I'd be cool.
Bang on. What about you, Saul? What did you think of the match?
I thought it was solid. A good display of the man's athletic presence of coming back and kind of putting like, yeah, the man can still work and he hasn't lost a step. And I fully understand why WWE are pushing Cody in the way he is. I mean, have you heard the news about like how before the Rumble even started, the man's merch sold out? And I've seen videos of reactions of like people like tears, kids being absolutely joyous to see him back. So I fully understand. He is so good at what he does, connecting with the audience and being that like the protagonist and like self-insert. People can relate to him and he does the job well. Absolutely perfect by Cody. I love the match. He will be great. So I got no problems.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I'm super hyped for it. But something that happened on Monday Night Raw last night, which surprised me quite a bit, was the return of Rick Boogs. He returned to WWE after nearly a year out. And of course, what a run he was on before he got injured. And it really, really was sad to see him get injured at WrestleMania this past year. And he returned. But why didn't he return at the Royal Rumble? him coming out of the Royal Rumble would have been a really nice surprise to have, especially when we only had 3 surprises. And yes, it wouldn't have been a huge surprise, but it would still have been nice. But anyway, he returned and he defeated Miz. It was, he looked as good as ever. And yeah, Rick Boogs, honestly, he was somebody when he was in NXT, I didn't really think anything of him. But he came to the main roster and he's really broken out. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does now that he's back on television. And hopefully, he could be a solid mid-card act. But what do you think about this, Clark?
I'm a diehard Boogs fan. I love Boogs. And I think, to your point, huge missed opportunity because I know another Boogs fan, and that's Pat McAfee. And he was on commentary at the Rumble. And dang it, I just wanted to see McAfee's reaction. All I could think last night was, can we get McAfee's reaction when they hit Boogs' music? Come on, man. It was perfect. It would have been great. And but either way, it was great to see Boogs back. I mean, I would have much preferred, like you said, at the Rumble. Please. It would have been great. He's not going to be playing Shinsuke Nakamura out for the rest of his career. But if we can get Pat McAfee on the table one last time, I'll take it. I always enjoyed it,
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I'm a bit confused why they've gotten rid of him from Shinsuke, really, because they were a great act together. At least give a reason for doing it. Don't just do it randomly. But what about you, Saul? What did you think of Rick Boogs' return?
I remember when I last watched him at the WrestleMania, I felt like him and Shinsuke was good for what it was, but now I'm a bit worried, can he hold his level to himself? Is he going to just have a ceiling? So, which is why I think we should get him and Elias as a tag team, like a music band, boy band tag team. Hell yeah, do that. That'd be fun. I'm all for that. Make them call them, I don't know, Oasis or Blink-182.
Call them Oasis.
Oasis.
Oh my god.
I think Oasis is technically taken, but either way, boy band I'm in for.
Kobe is commenting Logan Paul is a better surprise. I mean, yeah, that's true. It is true. But come on, that could be another surprise too. I'm not saying replace him.
Then Rick Boogs.
Yeah, I mean, I still would have preferred Rick Boogs. Yeah, Grace Goodwin in the comments is saying petition for the next live stream to just be Ben making sound effects.
Yes.
And Kobe's then asking, would the crowd lose interest with Boogs without Shinsuke? Perhaps so. That's why.
No, you take that back, Kobe. We'll talk about this after the show, Kobe. No. You take that back right now. Nobody will ever lose. How could you possibly lose interest in Rick Boogs? Never.
I mean, I kind of get what he means because, from what I remember, Rick Boogs' whole thing was just playing Shinsuke's theme and being the hype man.
When he dressed up as Freddie Mercury. Did you see when he shaved his head and he came back as Freddie Mercury?
No, I wasn't watching WWE but I was AEW fanboy for life.
Wow.
I just got my things on YouTube.
Just saying, he went full Freddie Mercury, dude. And he wore a jean. He wore a jean overall singlet, which I thought was personally I found fascinating. That was one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen a wrestler do. He wore overall singlet.
The only Freddie Mercury and Queen references in wrestling I get is Emi Sakura coming out to her banging theme. So that's all I need. That's all I need.
Just saying, he went full red with the slick back. It was money. You should have been there. So you would have loved it.
Now, for those of you guys who haven't noticed, we've been trying out a new thing visually today on the stream. We've tried out a new possible layout. Let us know your thoughts on it. Do you like it? Do you prefer the old one? Let us know. Send us a DM on Instagram at Wrestling Republic, or just leave it in the comments. Either one, we will check. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much wraps up today's show, guys. It's been a banger after banger. They might as well call us the Banger Bros. Anyway, guys, it's Tuesday, 31st of January. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow at the slightly earlier time of 8 p.m. GMT, 12 p.m. Pacific. And what's that Hawaiian time, Clark?
9 Hawaiian Elysian. 9 Hawaiian Elysian.
Nice. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Please like, comment, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
See you guys in